You're listening to Productivity Monsters in the Morning. We are the energy vault your real estate business needs to get you up and out and excited and productive for the day. We go over trending topics and things that really matter in the market of the moment. Here are your hosts, Tiffany Hampton and Brooke Silva.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So I get to be on my soapbox today because we're talking about a topic that I'm very passionate about. I know.
Coffee, water.
No. And no water, no daughters, no coffee, none of that. Yeah, no. I'm gonna have to go back to Jersey just so I could talk my talk with my Jersey people and not worry about my accent.
Yeah. But I also want you to do that so when you come back, it's super thick. Right? Like you're gonna come back when I hang out with all my Mass family, all of a sudden, or I'm in Massachusetts all the time, it's like this, right? But then when I go back to New Hampshire, or I'm with Texas people all the time, there goes my New England accent. It goes down and down and down.
Yeah. Anyway, great sidetrack. And systems, processes, checklists, operations manuals. Then we add the technology before we hire anyone. Because if we hire
here's your affirmation.
Give us our affirmation.
Your affirmation is I have systems in place. That's it. I have systems in place.
Yep. Because here's the deal. We hire out of pain.
So many times. I see it every single day.
And then we don't have a system, a process, a 30, 60, 90, a job description.
No.
Not everybody's some.
You know what's funny too is that they all have this mentality that the person, I see this everywhere, not just in our world, but people who are hiring out of pain and they've never had the role before, they don't even know what they do. And they have this mentality of follow me around for a few weeks and you'll get it. What? No, this is not manual labor. This is not we're doing real estate background. You follow me around for 2 weeks.
Nope, I lost you. You froze on me, man.
Oh, man.
It's all right, though. I got the gist of what you were saying. Well, and here's my thing around it. Like, and I know I'm weird and people have an issue with me because I'm weird and I do things, but I have a process brain. Unfortunately, it's how I roll. It's a blessing and a curse.
It is. I feel you on that stuff.
Yeah. When I built a real estate company, I started from the ground up. So I started with the receptionist. What are all the things? And I hired myself as the receptionist. And then I fired myself as the receptionist when everything was done. And then I hired that position with the checklist and an operations manual. Then I went to transaction corner. I went through all the roles until there were no more roles to be had. Because when we look at those 4 squares of being an employee, a self-employed, and all of those things, you want to be on the right side where you're running a business. You don't want to be on the left side where the business can't run without you.
And will make it so much easier in our world is that we have models and systems already in place. There are 30, 60, 90s for every role. We even have, if you go to Keller Inc., it's called Task List for Megas. Mm-hmm. It shows all the things you would do, and then it shows all the things your next hire would do. There are things you would like to do. Mm-hmm. But if it's not in your job, that's what's paying to get you a bigger business. Why are you doing them? And why are you reinventing the wheel? We've been talking about simplicity and foundation and baseline knowledge a lot in the last few weeks. simplicity seems to be a term that is used across the board this year, everywhere. And if you're embarrassed that you don't have that foundational knowledge, cut it out. Because if you want to grow your business, you've got to have that foundational knowledge. Your next hire should not be teaching you the foundations that they're going to get when they come into our world.
Yeah. Well, and this week on one of our channels, somebody said, does somebody have this thing? And they were like, I don't like what, you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
I don't like, it's this is, I was like, it's a model, it's system, it's proven. It's
Just do it.
it's a person of value who is trusted. My response back was like, I follow the model 100% and it works.
Yeah.
Because my opinion doesn't matter because somebody before me came and did it. May I make it a little me? Yes, but I'm not going to change it.
Because it works. Why are we're using something, we can validate with data that it's working. And until the data says it's not, we are going to keep doing the same thing over and over because we know it works. It drives me insane. So now, which is funny because everybody's like, you rewrite the classes. And I'm like, no. I actually don't. What I do is I take what we have and I design it in a way that gamifies the content to the adult brain and the adult learner. But you've sat in my classes. I am teaching the MREA. I am teaching shift. I am teaching all these things. I just put my spin on it, but I don't go away from a single model system or training that we have. I just put Brooke to it.
Yeah.
I just Brookify it. Like, that's what I do. I'm not reinventing a class. I am just putting a different cover on the book. That's what I'm doing.
Well, and so this week was full of these lessons. So
Huge lessons this week.
this week I was at a place with a person and they have one thing, their job is one thing, just one thing.
One thing.
And before you do anything else, you do that one thing. And this person was so defiant about taking action because you know why? They weren't comfortable.
Yep.
They weren't and I won't say competent, but I will say competent because they didn't do enough training to understand the content to be able to be. So they found every reason under the sun not to do it. And that's the 80-20, right?
Right.
No, the 20% does the job, yet we navigate to the 80% because that's comfort. Drives me crazy.
It does. And we're all guilty of it. Trust me. We all.
Oh, yeah. I have my moments.
I have my moments, and it comes out of when I'm unorganized in my life or I'm off my routine. Like, I notice when I'm trying to take shortcuts, and it's because I'm tired or I'm stressed or I'm under leveraged. There are things that happen and we all go through this. But if you are going to spend the money and if you are going to become responsible for the paycheck of another human being in your world and another family, because everybody has family, whether they're with someone, not with some, there's still, I consider a person a family unit. Okay. You're still responsible for that. And you owe it to yourself, your business, and the people you're going to bring on to have the most amount of information at that time to make the best judgment calls for your business and the people. Stop reinventing the wheel. It's there. Everything, every job description, every 30, 60, 90, every task top agents do is laid out for them. But yet they're like, no, my person won't do that. And then they get pissed when 6 months down the line, the hire is pushing back or they're doing things that weren't part of their job, but yet you didn't know what their job was to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and let's even back it up further than that. When you decide that you're going to be a real estate agent, you're your employer and your employee.
Right.
So you are your boss and you are both. So, and I asked the question, I did it Tuesday night during dual career. I asked the question, would you fire yourself based on the activities you did today?
Or would you, yep, I love asking that question too. I ask it to anyone in every role. If I were your direct supervisor today, would I hire you again? Would I fire you? Or or would we be in remedial counseling? Like, what would we be doing with you today? I need to know. It's such an interesting place to be in, helping people who own their own businesses be in business. Where else do you get this? You don't. And that's just one thing I wanted to cap this with is we get frustrated. At the end of the day, they all own their own businesses. Each market center is individually owned and operated. But how cool is it that we do these things and we put these things out there? And we share with people who aren't even in our world, all these things. You don't get that other places.
Nope. Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, those who, and we'll just keep it simple, those who build their listing presentation instead of lead generating because they're more comfortable, you don't have a business.
Yeah. Stop worrying about your website. Stop worrying about what your picture looks like. Is the social media matching your brand? You don't have a brand.
Yeah.
You don't have a brand until you're established, and your brand's going to change over years. How about we just go back to the basics, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Make the relationships, do the work, put the sweat equity in, and follow the models and the systems. So that way you build and you keep building and you don't have giant roller coaster moments in your business. It's always, and there's going to be dips, but man, it breaks my heart when you see agents' businesses do this, or anyone's business.
Because I'm going to remind everybody, this industry started in the 1890s. There was no social media. There was no cell phones.
No.
There was no printers.
Was it 1910 was the first open house? It was in one of our packets, the open house playbook. They were giving up all this historical information. I think 1910, when you did the first open house, there was nothing, and people still did it. Like, they still made it work.
And it wasn't until 98, 99, 2000 that we went from a paper MLS book to a computer program. And there were no cell phones.
I know. My dad used to develop photos. My dad was a photographer and owned a photo studio. Talk about something that is outdated, and the digital world got rid of them. But he would develop the photos in a very specific way for all the realtors in the area, because they used to have to put them in multiple places. They used to have like 5 copies, and they used to put them in albums. They used to have like an MLS album for things.
Yes.
I'll never forget that.
So remember, you don't need all the bells and whistles. You just need to have relationships, period.
You do.
Yep.
And just, if you're going to bring on that hire, make sure you are in the best area with your systems and models. And if you need help with that, that's what we're here for. That's what the region provides. That's what your leadership provides. We're not going to reinvent the wheel for you. We're going to show you what exists to make sure, one, have you had career visioning? Have you had your own KPA? Where are you going to advertise? How much can you afford? How many hours do you actually need? One of the things I love is that when we sit down with top teams or busy agents, and we break out their opportunities, their transaction management part of command, we buy them 6 months before they have to actually hire. We buy them 6 months back.
We'll do the math on how much money that is.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. If you're looking at a part-time person, 30 hours a week times 20, say the baseline, this is probably way too low, $20 an hour. For the right person, right? That's a lot of money we can save you to get you to a point where your first hire doesn't hurt.
Yep. And remember, the models have already been built. Stop it.
Stop it.
All right, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.